Hey friends, Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, I'm going to guide you through step-by-step how to perform a forwards meteor thumb-led weave with your poi. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Fire Mecha, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultra Poi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all of these awesome companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I have down in the description of this video. And special thanks to the non-business friends of the channel, Lei Muczynski and Becca Bekkonen. Thank you both so much for supporting my channel, my work, and my mission. So one of the more popular styles of spinning poi in the past decade has been taking both poi and spinning them together, controlled by the same hand. This is a type of poi spinning that we usually refer to as either meteor spinning or 2 poi 1 hand, or just 2P 1H for short. Essentially, the idea is that we're kind of taking a lot of the same concepts that we have in, say, having 1 poi in each hand and then applying them to just controlling both of the poi from that one hand. This is great not only for giving you more options while you're spinning, but also is foundational for other variations on the art, such as using 3 poi at the same time. Now, a gentleman reached out to me a few weeks ago asking me about meteor tutorials, and I realized that I hadn't done one in quite some time. And more to the point, the last time I did a tutorial specifically on the forwards thumb-led weave really wasn't a very good one. So I wanted to update my offerings and hopefully clear up some confusion around this weave, because I actually do find that it's quite challenging to learn. So a really obvious question before we start: how exactly should you be gripping your 2 poi in order to spin the meteor style? This is my preferred grip. We're going to use what we call the thumb end poi, that is the one that is closest to our thumb, and we're essentially going to pinch it between our index finger and our thumb in what's usually called the key grip, because you wind up with a point of control that feels exactly like inserting a key into a lock. The second poi, which is usually referred to as the pinky end poi, regardless of which fingers are actually gripping it, I like to grip between my pinky and my ring fingers. I just find that I get a little bit more control here. Many people also like to grip the pinky end poi, basically just between their pinky and the flesh of their hand, the end of the palm. Both of these options work. This is my preferred grip. Okay, so most of us who are familiar with performing a weave with 1 poi in each hand doubtlessly have tried to switch over to doing 2 poi 1 hand and discovered that what happens is the 2 poi kind of fall together, or worse, get tangled up together. So why exactly is that? Well, when we're performing a weave with both of our hands, do you notice how my wrists are largely immobile as I'm doing it? If you look really, really carefully, I'm barely moving my wrists at all. I'm just kind of keeping them hovering out in space, and for the most part, using my fingers to control the movement of the poi here. Now, if I switch to a meteor weave, do you see how all of a sudden now the articulation of my right wrist has changed completely? Rather than just kind of hanging out in front of myself, I'm having to do a lot of work to twist my wrist back and forth. This is the big challenge in learning how to do a meteor weave. So I'm going to guide you through what I think is a good way to begin to get that articulation in your wrist. So to do this, I'm going to ask you to think about 2 movements and then chain them together. The first move is going to be imagining that you're taking the top card off of a deck and flipping it over to show everybody at the table. In order to do this, you have to change the orientation of your hand from being palm down to palm up, and you're bringing all of your fingers inward past the inside of your wrist to do so, flipping it over like so. The second movement is to imagine that you've just flipped a coin and you've caught it in your palm. Now, I don't know about you all, but the way I usually like to do my coin flips is then to flip them one more time over. So I'm going to take the coin as it rests in my palm and flip it over to put it down on the backside of my other hand. So the full motion we're taking here is to go from palm up and swing it around to palm down. So these are our 2 motions: taking the card off the top of the deck and flipping the coin, taking the card off the top of the deck and flipping the coin, back and forth, back and forth. So essentially what this results in is you're flipping from palm down to palm up, bringing your fingers past the inside of your wrist, and then switching from palm up to palm down, flicking your fingers past the outside of your wrist. We flick around the inside, we flick around the outside, flick around the inside, flick around the outside. just play with this and get a feel for moving your wrist back and forth between these spots. All right, so now let's try this with poi. I'm going to go ahead and have you take both of your poi and grip them in one hand in your Meteor grip of choice. And I want you to go ahead and take whichever poi is coming out the thumb end and hold it with your other hand. Now, we're going to go ahead and I want you to throw that thumb end poi over and around away from you. You can do a couple practice throws if you want, but what we want to have eventually happen is think of this as the moment where we begin flipping that card off the top of the deck. So when I throw that thumb end poi, I want you to go ahead and show me the card. Just like that. And hopefully you should find that the pinky end poi gets moving as well. If it doesn't, you're not putting enough articulation into flipping that card. To get a proper start for this, it's really important to put a lot of momentum behind the pinky end. Think that even as you're throwing the thumb end over, that your real job is actually to get the pinky end moving. That way, you can be sure that you get good separation between the two poi as you begin your Meteor Wave. So give that a few tries, throwing that thumb end over and see if you can get the pinky end to again, see if you can throw that thumb end over and get the pinky end to follow it. You're going to wind up seeing the thumb end go back and forth like you do in a 2-beat weave in front of you. Only this time, the pinky end is going to be following it. All right, so now let's try taking both the card off the top of the deck as well as flipping the coin. Card off the top, flip 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 the coin. This is going to have to happen a little bit faster than you think it does, but if you can give your wrist some good articulation, you'll also get good separation between the poi as well. If you find that the poi are starting to fall together, generally speaking, that means that there's not enough articulation in your wrist. Really think that you're trying to separate out your thumb and pinky, trying to get them to point away from each other at all times. Not just the poi, but the fingers themselves. One way I actually kind of like to try and visualize this is to imagine that the poi are two siblings, and one of them is waking up in the morning and trying to drag the other one out of bed. That is, my thumb end is the one that is trying to pull the pinky end up and around to get active, and the pinky end just is not having it. It is doing everything it can to resist following the thumb end. The more successful you are with this visualization, the better separation you're going to get between the two ends. Awesome. So now let me give you some FPV footage of this. So once this starts to feel comfortable, I want you to go ahead and practice it both in wall plane here, so that the poi are going around in front of and behind you, as well as in wheel plane, so it looks like the poi are spinning directly in front of you on end. It's good to have both options in your wheelhouse as you're learning this. Cool! Was this helpful? Would you like to see me cover more Meteor tricks? Please let me know down in the comments. Did you get anything out of this video? Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to help other people find it and to help my channel grow. This video would not be possible without the kind support of all of these amazing people right here. These are my Flow patrons over on Patreon. They and the people listed down in the description help to make this video and all the videos on this channel possible. Thank you all so much for your very generous support. And if you out there watching are not currently a supporter but you'd like to become one, you can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and signing up. There, you can get access to a whole host of awesome rewards, and even better than that, you'll be helping me out in my mission to bring poi spinning and flow arts to the whole wide world. So go check that out, please and thank you. And if you'd like to check out some of my other videos on meteor spinning, I will go ahead and include a link to a playlist of them down in the description, as well as up here on screen if you're watching on YouTube. Also, the YouTube algorithm thinks that you might like this top video here because it is popular amongst other viewers of my channel, so maybe give that a look as well. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to get out and flow today, and I'll see you with a new video real soon. Peace.